I'm Sarah, and today we're going to be looking at the foam roller and some different things that you might want to do at home with the foam roller. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about myofascial release, which is what the foam roller essentially is doing. There's obviously lots of other tools that will do this as well. So with myofascial release, what we're doing is essentially self-massaging trigger points in the muscles or knots in the muscles to get more out of that muscle. So when there's trigger points, it makes those areas of muscle short and tight. So by releasing them, it's bringing the muscle back to its full capacity. So I like to think of myofascial release, and in this case foam rolling, as a tool that you can use to get the most out of an activity or to get more out of your stretching, rather than it having to be a task where you feel like you've got to foam roll every different area of your body every day. So some common reasons why we might foam roll is, say for example, you've been told that you've got tight hip flexor muscles and then you want to go and run. Well, that's not going to be very helpful for the push-off phase of running. So the push-off phase is where our leg is going back behind us. So this kind of phase here. And that part requires the hip flexors to be able to lengthen. So foam rolling can help to give length to the hip flexors so that when you're running, your ball and socket joint in your hip, so the leg coming into the hip socket, is going to be in a really good position for you to be able to run. All the muscles are going to work more efficiently, they're going to fire in the correct patterns, things like that. Another reason why you might foam roll is if someone's told you, oh, your calves are very, very tight, you need to stretch your calves every day. That's all well and good, but what happens when we stretch without releasing the trigger point first is something like this. So if you grab a band and you tie a knot in the centre of the band, say this is your calf muscle, so we've got one bit down here, one bit up here, and I start to stretch that muscle, what happens? The knot just gets tighter, okay? So you're effectively either not stretching the tight bit or making it tighter when you stretch a muscle that you haven't worked the trigger points out first, okay? Now there's active and latent trigger points or knots, so that just means that some will refer pain and you'll well and truly know they're there because they're causing a symptom, and others you won't feel. You'll have a tight muscle but you're not necessarily in any pain. It's good to massage out both latent and active trigger points, okay? So yeah, we'd release the calves with the foam roller or whatever other tool you've got at home, and then we would stretch them like you've been advised, okay? So I just now want to go through all the different types of foam rolling that you could do at home. I'll even throw in a few other things you might want to use your roller for. And if anyone's got questions, please feel free to email me. Okay, so first of all, let's start with the calves since we're talking about that. I'm going to choose the higher density blue roller for the calves because we won't have as much body weight coming down into the roller. So the blue roller is quite firm in density. The pink roller is quite soft. You can see I can really squeeze in on that one. So that's better for areas where you've got a lot of pain or a lot of your body weight coming down into the roller. There's in between densities as well. I think there's green that's slightly in between. So for the calves, you want to position it under the calf that's a problem, and then cross the other leg over the top. So again, you're adding a little bit more pressure down onto the calf to make it work better. Support your body weight with your hands and simply roll back and forth. I tend to roll one side as I go one way and then roll over to the other side to go back the other way. So the inside of my calf, the outside of my calf. If you want to go back and forth over the same area, that's fine, but just be mindful it does work better if you go firm in just one direction. So in that case, I would go firm, and then I'd take the pressure off and go soft. Firm, soft, firm, soft. Okay, you get the idea. So that's how to do the calves. And you could give yourself a time limit. So you could say, okay, I'm going to do 30 to 60 seconds on each area. Or you could tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to do 10 rolls. Whatever you think is going to work best for you. If there's any, like I was saying, the main reason we're doing this is for those trigger points. So as you come along, and I've got one in my calf today, as you come along, you might feel a really tender bit that kind of, it feels like it radiates out to different areas. Be mindful that you're not on the nerve, of course, and there's not too many nerves through here you have to worry about, but it'll feel like it's referring pain. It'll be like a dull, achy pain, okay? So not sharp and shooting, a dull, achy, referred pain. That means you're definitely on a trigger point area. So that's the spot where you could just let it sink into the roller. Again, 30 to 60 seconds, and you'll actually feel that area start to ease off. Okay, so that's starting to ease already for me. We just give it 5 more seconds, and that's gone now. So then you might even find when, and it's happening for me, when you roll back through the rest of the muscle, it's no longer as tender. So the trigger points are found in a band of tight muscle. Quite often when you release that trigger point, the rest of the band will relax. So again, another way to save time might be to just go straight for the trigger points. And you can look at trigger points online, or there's books that you can look those up as well. Next, the side of the leg. Now, I tend not to be a fan of rolling out the iliotibial band because it's not a muscle. However, there is a muscle just in front of that, so more around towards the front of the thigh, called the vastus lateralis, or the outside thigh muscle. And that quite often is a big problem for people. So that can cause mistracking of the knee, problems like that. So yeah, you definitely might have some trigger points in that one. So to roll that one out, we get the roller onto the side of the leg, and you can have the knees bent or straight, it doesn't really matter, but essentially over the trigger point area. So there's trigger points in the middle of the muscle belly in this one. There's trigger points down towards the knee, and there's trigger points all the way up just below the hip bone or the leg bone there. So you might have all 3 spots being tender, you might just have 1 spot being tender. So again, you can do any of those methods I talked about earlier. You could roll out for 30 seconds. You could let it sink in to a trigger point for 30 to 60 seconds. Or you could give yourself a limit of 10 rolls. And with that one, you might then say, okay, I'm going to do 10 rolls for a week, and then I'm going to up it to 12 rolls, and just slowly build the endurance in what you can handle in terms of your pain commitment there. Next up, so we've done calves, we've done vastus lateralis. Same thing, you can use it for the front, so the rest of your quad muscles at the front here. And you just do that by coming onto the front and going back and forth. With the legs, if you've got long limbs like mine, you might need to break it into 2 sections. So you might go, okay, I'm going to pop it down near my knees first, and I'm going to do 10 rolls down near my knees, remembering to go firm in one direction and then slightly, lift your body weight and take some weight off in the other direction, or just swivel yourself, so firm that way, then firm that way, because I'm on a different area of muscle. Does that make sense? Okay, and then you might go, okay, well, I've done the lower half, now I want to do the upper half. So then you can simply roll yourself on, do the upper half. Okay, so you can split it into 2 or 3 areas. The muscle's not going to be fussy in regards to all that. Next one, a really popular one, is your gluteus muscles, or your bottom muscles. So to do that one, we want to sit, have our hands behind us on the floor. There's a few ways you can do this one. I'll show you the different ways. We want to cross our ankle over to the opposite knee, roll to the side that we've just done that to, and then back and forth. Again, circles are a nice idea, so you're only going firm in one direction. Okay. And again, if you find a sore spot that's a dull ache referral, you can just let it sink in and see if that one will ease off. Okay, show you on the other side. So rolling this way and doing circles. Another way you can do the glute muscles, it's a better way to get into the ones around the top near your back. So you can lie on your back, pull the roller up under your hips, and then onto your toes and roll from side to side. If you want more pressure, simply bring the legs up. And then again, roll from side to side. Once you're at the side, you can also make sure you've got your abs on to support your back, but you can also go back and forth like that. Okay. Now I've got that across where you feel that meaty part, not on any kind of bony areas of the hips. So my hips are right up here, and I've got that roller about 1 inch to 2 inches under that hip bone. Okay. Push it out and bring you back down to come up. In that position, there's also a really nice stretch that I'll show you. So again, coming back up, bring the roll under. Good one for if you've got this type hip flexor problem we were talking about before. So all you do is hug one knee in towards your chest and slide the other away. So I'm getting that stretch through here. So that's a one joint hip flexor stretch. So if you're being told you need to stretch your one joint hip flexors, this is the one to do. Contract relax stretching is the best form, but I'll go over that in more detail in another blog. So stretch the other side. Just be careful as you change sides as well, because you're releasing a muscle. You don't want to then ask it to work straight away. It sends the wrong messages to the brain. It's like, you know, we're sending signals, I want that muscle to be nice and long, and then all of a sudden, I want that muscle to be short and long. It doesn't, the muscles don't like that. So you want to come out of it just nice and slowly and gently, not adding any load by lifting your leg up. Okay? And come out of that one. Next up, we can foam roll through your mid to upper back. So you pop your hands up behind your head to support your head and neck. You lift your bottom away from the mat, and then you're just rolling back and forth. Now if you hug your shoulders right around, make sure you're not pulling at your head, but if you hug your shoulders right around, you can open the shoulder blades away from each other and get right in between the shoulder blades. So there can be quite a few sore spots through there. Again, you can do circular movements to keep pressure in one direction. So we could go slightly to the left and then slightly to the right. Slightly to the left and then slightly to the right. And you will find it'll ease off much quicker doing it that way. While we're here, you can also get into your rotator cuff muscles that lie on top of the shoulder blade. So to do that, very similar. We just slightly come to the side, or if that's too much pressure, we can come over the roller this way with your arm top of the roller. We can get a bit of a pec stretch while we're here, so the pecs being at the front here, and just opening back into a book open or a pec stretch, and then returning. So you're getting a massage and a bit of a stretch at the same time. Okay. And while we're talking about pec muscles, another nice thing you can do with a foam roller is lying lengthways and little arm circles. If it's too much load or too uncomfortable to do both arms at once, you can break it up and what's called windmills. We go into a open scissor and then we circle the arms. And you might go back the other way just to keep it even. So that's less load for the upper back and the neck area, okay, compared to this one. So whichever one feels good for you. Next up, we'll talk about the the lower back. Now I tend not to spend too long when I'm trigger pointing the lower back, just because you do have things like the liver and kidneys and bowels, which are quite close around that area. So you either use the soft roller, or you just really don't do it for too long, or use a spiky ball against the wall or a different tool. But if you did want to do them with the roller, just coming onto the side and rolling back and forth. Just finding any sore spots through there. I'm really only allowing probably 50% of my body weight into the roller. So I'm using my elbow and my foot to lift my body weight off the roller. Okay. Front of the legs. This is a really good one because you can get a bit of a workout at the same time. So you bring the roller all the way to the back of your mat. You put your ankles on the roller. You bring your forearms forward into like a plank kind of position, and then you go back and forth. So you get a bit of an ab workout there. Yeah, you've really got to focus on drawing your shoulders away from your ears too, so you don't end up with tight shoulders up here. Another way you can massage if you want more of a concentrated massage through that area is just to work yourself back and forth in little circles, or just trigger point any sore spots through there, just a bit more stationary. Is there anything else? Any other areas? I think that's about it. That you can get in under the arm in this fashion as well, so kind of more a backwards and forwards movement like this. That's a good one if you've got any lat trigger points, latissimus dorsi. Another nice one with the foam roller is a back extension. So, so yeah, like I said at the start, I'd really advise before you just go ahead and do absolutely anything with the roller, that you go and see a professional and find out for your activity what's best for me to focus on, or for your posture type, what's best for you to focus on. And really, yeah, isolate it to the things that are going to make the biggest change. So yeah, so that your daily activities are great, your sporting activities are easy, your posture at work, sitting at the computer for 8 hours or whatever, becomes easier. That's the real aim, not necessarily just, you know, I want all my muscles to be like butter. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and like I said at the start, email me if you have any questions. Thank you.